Welcome to Bedtime Stories Factory, where from thought to tale imagination sails. Don't forget hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a tale. Now snuggle up, relax, and let your imagination drift away with us.
Hi dear listeners, I'm thrilled to invite you to join our adventure. Shall we start? The warm Australian sun began to sink slowly over the red sands of the Outback, casting a golden glow over the vast landscape. Kip the kangaroo hopped along the dry earth, feeling the warmth of the day fading. His long tail kicked up little puffs of dust as he bounded over rocks and around bushes. Kip loved this time of day, when the sun said its goodbyes and the cool evening breeze began to whisper through the air. "Good night, tall eucalyptus trees," Kip said, looking up at the towering trees that swayed gently in the evening wind. "Good night, spinifex grass," he added, nodding to the spiky plants that dotted the ground around him. As Kip continued on his journey, he saw the sky change from bright blue to soft shades of pink and orange. The colors were magical, like a painting that only lasted a few moments each day. Soon, the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, and Kip knew it was time to head home for the night. "Good night, sun," Kip whispered as the last golden rays dipped below the horizon. The land was quiet now, with only the soft sound of the wind and the rustling of leaves in the distance. The Outback was preparing for sleep, just like Kip. High above the ground, in the branches of a tall eucalyptus tree, Koko the koala let out a big, sleepy yawn. She stretched her arms, still clutching a eucalyptus leaf, and blinked her eyes slowly. Koko loved her tree. It was tall and strong, and the branches cradled her like a soft bed. The gentle rustle of the leaves made the perfect lullaby. Koko chewed her last leaf for the evening, savoring the familiar taste of the eucalyptus oil. "Good night, my leaves," she murmured as she nestled herself deeper into the branches. The sky above was now dark, and the Southern Cross constellation twinkled brightly overhead. Koko gazed up at the stars, feeling safe and sleepy. "Good night, stars," she whispered before closing her eyes. "Good night, moon." Koko was soon fast asleep, her soft fur blending in with the shadows of the tree. The night had truly begun, and the creatures of the forest were settling into their beds. The wind sang through the eucalyptus grove, and Koko dreamed of sweet, endless forests of green. Meanwhile, down on the ground, Walter the wombat was hard at work. He had spent the whole day digging, and now his burrow was just right. With his strong claws, Walter had shaped the earth into a cozy tunnel where he could rest safely, hidden from the world above. "Good night, sky," Walter said, looking up at the stars one last time before retreating into the cool darkness of his burrow. "Good night, moon," he added as he padded down the tunnel. The earth around him felt cool and comforting. Walter liked the quiet of his burrow, where he could hear only the soft sounds of the night above, birds chirping and the wind rustling through the grasses. He patted the last bit of dirt into place, making sure his tunnel was safe and secure. "Good night, Outback," Walter murmured as he curled up in his cozy bed of soft earth. He closed his eyes, feeling completely at peace. The wombat's work was done for the day, and now it was time to rest. Not far from Walter's burrow, near a winding river, Kai the kookaburra perched on a branch, watching the world grow darker. The kookaburra loved to laugh, and his laughter echoed through the trees like music. "Ha ha ha," Kai chuckled, his cheerful voice carrying through the night. The sound made all the other animals smile. Kai's laugh was well known in the forest, and it was a signal that everything was all right. "Good night, river," Kai called, looking down at the water below. It shimmered in the moonlight, reflecting the stars like little diamonds. "Good night, fish," he added, watching a few fish swim lazily through the water, ready for sleep themselves. Kai fluffed his feathers and let out one last laugh for the evening. "Good night, trees," he said, as the wind gently rocked the branches. "Good night, friends." With that, Kai closed his eyes, his laughter still echoing faintly through the forest as he drifted into a peaceful sleep. Far away from the dry outback and the tall forests, beneath the clear waters of the Great Barrier Reef, Ruby the reef fish swam gracefully through the glowing corals. The reef was a magical place, full of life and color, even at night. As Ruby swam, the coral around her seemed to glow with a soft light, casting a rainbow of colors into the water. Tiny sea creatures darted in and out of the coral branches, and the water was filled with the gentle hum of the ocean. "Good night, coral," Ruby whispered, waving her fin gently as she passed by a large piece of coral shaped like a fan. "Good night, starfish," she said to a bright red starfish resting on a rock nearby. The starfish didn't move, but Ruby knew it was ready for sleep too. As Ruby continued her swim, she passed by sea turtles slowly gliding through the water. "Good night, turtles," she said softly, watching them disappear into the coral gardens for their evening rest. The reef was peaceful at night, and Ruby felt safe and happy in her colorful underwater world. She found her favorite coral nook, nestled between two glowing branches, and tucked herself in for the night. "Good night, Great Barrier Reef," Ruby whispered before drifting off to sleep, surrounded by the soft glow of the underwater paradise. By a quiet riverbank hidden among the tall reeds, Pippa the platypus paddled silently through the water. Pippa loved the water. It was her home, and she felt at peace as she glided along her webbed feet, making soft ripples on the surface. The river was calm tonight, and the moonlight reflected off the water like silver. Pippa swam in circles, enjoying the cool, refreshing feel of the river. She dipped her beak into the water, catching a few small insects for a late-night snack. "Good night, riverbank," Pippa whispered, looking at the reeds swaying gently in the breeze. "Good night, water," she added, her voice barely a ripple in the stillness of the night. Pippa knew it was time to head to bed, so she swam towards her burrow hidden in the soft mud along the river's edge. As she climbed out of the water, she shook off the droplets and slipped into her cozy burrow. The cool mud surrounded her, and she felt safe and warm. "Good night, world," Pippa said softly, her eyes closing as she nestled into her soft bed. The river hummed gently outside, and soon Pippa was fast asleep. Out on the wide plains of Australia, where the grass stretched for miles, Ella the emu was taking her midnight stroll. The moonlight bathed the landscape in a soft glow, and the cool breeze ruffled Ella's feathers as she walked. Ella loved the quiet of the plains at night. During the day, the land was busy with animals and the heat of the sun, but at night, everything was calm and peaceful. The only sounds were the soft rustling of the grass and the occasional call of a distant bird. "Good night, grass," Ella said as she walked through the tall blades, her long legs carrying her smoothly over the ground. "Good night, stars," she added, looking up at the clear, sparkling sky above. Ella continued her walk, taking in the beauty of the night. The world around her was asleep, but Ella didn't mind. She liked having the plains all to herself for a little while longer before it was her turn to sleep. Finally, Ella found a soft patch of grass where she could lay her head. "Good night, plains," she whispered, curling up and resting her head on her long neck. The breeze rocked her gently to sleep, and soon, all was quiet on the Australian plains. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its light over the entire land, Australia fell into a peaceful sleep. From the vast deserts of the Outback to the bustling reefs of the ocean, every creature had found its place to rest. Kip the kangaroo, Koko the koala, Walter the wombat, Kai the kookaburra, Ruby the reef fish, Pippa the platypus, and Ella the emu. All of them were now asleep, their dreams filled with the beauty of their home. The Southern Cross constellation twinkled overhead, and the soft sounds of the night filled the air. The wind whispered through the trees, the water hummed in the rivers, and the stars shone brightly above. "Good night, Australia," the land seemed to say. "Good night to all who call this beautiful place home." And with that, the world was quiet, ready for a good night's sleep. Good night, little one. May you have sweet dreams. Good dreams will bring you a beautiful tomorrow.
you